Hello and welcome to another episode of No Load Time. My name is Obed Velez, and with me is the most interesting man in the world, Joel Young.
What's good? No load time. Obed, pleasure to be back with you, my friend.
Good to see you again, sir. We were able to partake in lunch today, so that was
Yes,
pretty good,
we,
man.
we broke bread.
Good to see you. So it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's been a while since we had gotten to, have some good time to catch up outside of the podcast. So it's always again good to see each other, not virtually, but in person. So yeah, man. No,
Yeah.
it's good. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about tonight. Oh my goodness, guys, we got so good. We're gonna talk about Obed watched a movie that I cannot wait to discuss. Before we get into it, I don't have too much updates on my end, dude. The end of My Adventures with Superman, that show is done on HBO Max.
Okay, now I'll
I
watch it.
Yeah, I totally recommend watching it. I want to say it was 10 episodes exact, but it ends on a cliffhanger. So it's very obvious that, yes, they indeed do need to have a second season. And I know they said they were working on that from when the show already released, which is obviously bold to do when something is not fully out yet and to already have the confidence to release more of that franchise. But no, I really found it very charming. It's one of those shows that I could see a lot
Oh,
of
oh no, you froze.
you
You froze. Oh.
yourself.
There we go. You're back.
Oh,
No. Mm,
yeah. I
oh.
see.
Do you want to correct bugs, and we'll be right back, sir? Yes, we'll be right back.
Yep.
Hey, we're back. I think Joel's back from the dead.
I live.
He
I'm back.
lives. So yes, Superman.
Yeah, My Adventures Superman, long short of it is it's very exciting. 10 episodes. The episodes are quite short. Like I was saying, something that the younger people I think will very much enjoy. And then people like ourselves who appreciate animation and don't just look at it as thing of the youth, but really just appreciate good storytelling will enjoy it too. But yeah, it's just great the episodes are short. I love Olsen. They make him like this conspiracy theorist kind of character. So it's kind of like a comedy shtick that they do with him throughout, which of course working with Superman, it's like an alien man. People are like, what are you talking about? They just plan it very well. Lois is some of the best Lois I've seen, in my opinion, in a cinematic standpoint. A lot of times, People fall into the trope of just making her the love interest, but many of us know her from the comics and from some of the other positive representations that she's, truly an investigative journalist. She's not just a journalist, but she's an investigator, and she puts herself out there because she has Superman standing behind her, who knows that his ear is always turned towards her to make sure that he's there for her. So they play off it all very well. But the animation style is really awesome,
Yeah,
super
yeah.
anime, and like when you look at even some of the character designs, it's at first you're like, wait a second, it's that character? Like, without trying to spoil it, like Slade Wilson, when the first time you see him, you may not recognize that Slade Wilson. You're like, oh wait, that's him. So I just loved that overall. But yeah, it's a nice show. I think you'll enjoy it when you get to see it. But that's all I got on my end for updates,
Cool.
man. I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, now that it's done, I'll check it out. It's been on my radar for a bit now, so I'm definitely gonna jump in and watch it. But Joe, I finally got an opportunity to watch a movie that, according to you, still does not exist.
Yes,
No, it
it's not
exists.
even.
It finally exists, and got to watch The Flash. So okay, and I went in to this movie with an open mind, right? And was able to actually do a very good job at separating the artist from the art. And I had a great time. I liked it. It was fun. It was fun. It was funny. Some of the jokes are really ham-fisted, and some of it is like too on the nose, and it's like, oh, I bet this he's gonna do this thing. This is gonna be freaking hilarious. Yeah, that's exactly the same. So, uh, it that's basically the when it comes to the humor of the movie. That's how I felt. A lot of it was really good. A lot of part of it was like too on the nose for me. Um, Surprisingly, it was very emotional. It had very emotional parts that were very deep and existential and all this stuff, right? And it was all. Oh, by the way, guys, again, spoilers. We're gonna go into huge, huge, huge spoilers here. Uh, Nothing is off for the entirety of DC,
Yep.
going back to 1978. So, or probably even before that. Uh,
The
so
dawn of
no, yeah,
time.
like what, 64 probably. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean the emotional parts with the mom and the reasoning behind it and all that were, I think, pretty powerful, very emotional. Made me feel stuff, right, which is good. And again, I've said it many times on the podcast that the worst thing a movie can do for you, it's for you to be indifferent towards it. And I wasn't. I laughed. I felt, the feels, and for the most part, I had a great time watching it. Um, it, it's really rough to pay attention to the movie when when you're in that time sphere. That is, Joel. Um, I think that the CG crew that worked on The Mummy Returns and the model of Dwayne The Rock Johnson as the Scorpion King should be proud of themselves, because that was what, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's comparable to that. Some PS2 looking people there, sir. Especially that Henry Cavill from Justice League. It's rough. It's probably the worst CG I've seen in a major motion picture in the last 20 years. Since probably, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson
Yeah.
in The
Like it was
Mummy
that
Return.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's probably the worst I've seen. And putting those aside, right? I think that the big action set piece of the movie, which is the desert fight with Zod, that looked good, right? So I think that there's the baby sequence at the beginning. Some of it was good, Some of it was rough. Um, I don't know if you noticed the big head. Like his head
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
bigger than it was supposed to be in some of those scenes. Um, but going back to the time sphere, dude. Wow, man, that is insanely bad. Like I'm still like taken aback on how bad it was. Like it was incredibly dude. It was like some Sharknado stuff. It was, yeah. Um, and then right we go to the cameos, which again some of it looked good, and some of it was like ooh, ooh, this is really bad. Okay. So I guess we can talk about the cameos, right? Because that's the big thing on the movie, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
big thing, right?
Yeah, dude. It's a big moment.
You know, we see I guess the first like the serials Superman. I forgot the actor's name. We see Christopher Reeve Superman. He looked good. Supergirl was rough. Like she looked really bad. Like her hair looked like Final Fantasy X cutscene hair from
Yeah.
PS2, dude. It was really bad. And then, and I know, and I'm not putting anything against the team that worked on it. But I think that the studio is to blame on this one. These guys are very talented, right? I'm no CG graphics designer. I'm no animator, and I think the people that worked on it are very talented. They were just not given enough time to proper or the proper tools to work on it. And then the big one, right? The big like the internet stopper moment, which is the Nick Cage, Superman. I knew that it was in there when he
Yeah.
was fighting a giant spider. I got a real good sensible chuckle because because if you know you
We
know,
know.
right?
Yeah.
If you've been on top of like superhero comic book movies for a long time, you know the stories about the producer that wanted Superman to fight a giant spider in the Nick Cage movie, or whatever that case might have been back then. So yeah, Nick Cage looked weird. He looked exactly as I thought he would look. Because I've seen the like
Right.
test footage and pictures of him in the suit. But for the most part, he looked fine, right? And then we see some Adam West. We hear Cesar Romero's Joker in the back. Like they try to do everything right. Um, I just I thought right, and again, I'm not dunking on the movie because I think I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. Like I'm just pointing out right that this was not what so the disappointment was not as big as the Multiverse of Madness disappointment, right? Where it went
Mm, that
nowhere.
was rough. Yeah.
Um and I mean those cameos were excellent, right?
Hmm.
But unfortunately it just didn't go anywhere. This one at least gives you like it may go in any direction, but also like yeah, they're just there as like fan service, and there's nothing really more to that, right? And I think that they didn't sell the movie as a multiverse movie, right? They sold it as like a sort of like retelling of Flashpoint, which it worked in that way, but the whole cameo thing was I expected the deep cuts to be deeper. I mean the Nick Cage thing was excellent because again if you know you know, but I thought there was gonna be more. Um, as soon as he started getting shrapnel, and I was like, oh, he's the dark dude that's kicking him out. As
Very
soon,
obvious.
yeah, like I caught it right away, right? That was pretty obvious, and the sacrifice and all that, and I think it was all well done. I think overall this movie was well written and well paced. I was very entertained throughout the whole thing. Right, it's just that it's again the
Yeah.
visual effects were atrocious, dude. And again, not in every scene. Like some the fight with Zod was really good. Um, Kind of disappointed that Supergirl was not there more. Like she was there for like 5 minutes. Like honestly,
Right.
Keaton was excellent. Of course, like he's the man, right? So he was great. Um, and the big surprise at the end, right, where things did change, and Wayne calls Bruce, and instead of Ben Affleck, is George Clooney that shows up. That was good. That
Yeah,
was
it's
a really
funny.
good surprise, right? And it kind of worked, right, with the whole like he's being Batman for a very long time, right? And it worked out great. I think it was a great cameo, and could open the door for more stuff. Like could I mean who knows, right? But overall, I enjoyed it a lot, man. Again, I went in with tempered expectations and an open mind, and I had a great time. So,
Yeah, I think you're similar to me.
okay.
Like where like I my initial reaction to the movie, and this is why I had to do an updated review video when I put it out, because I was like, look, what I saw, they were explicitly clear. This is an early cut. This is not the final cut. Literally had to read off of a paper. This is from the director, what they're saying, whatever, go. So I'm like, oh, okay, the CGI stuff, that's going to get fixed. That's just an early cut. Those scenes where they talk about, a couple of those really, really silly moments with like the two, berries that some of them kill with each other. Some of that's gonna get cut, and then or the end scene, like you're saying, like they'll clean up, the just that sequence together where the collision has happened. Really, Crisis on Infinite Earths, you're basically having that set up happen, and all of that just stayed the exact same. I didn't notice any difference. The only thing that was different, Obed, was that they cut the movie early where he says, "I'm coming around the back," with Batman on the phone, and then he goes, who the heck is that when he comes out? And then it just cuts. They didn't show us who
Mm.
it was.
Hmm.
I'm like, that was the thing you hid was George Clooney. You should have hidden like all these other visual effects if you
Oh
weren't
yeah,
if
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what you knew what it was gonna be.
yeah.
And it was pretty sad because like then you hear later on, I don't know if you saw this a bit when the director was trying to defend the CGI and says, oh, it's supposed to look off because he's in the Speed Force, and in the Speed Force everything looks blurry. I'm like, no, that is some real lying through your teeth, buddy. We
That's
know that is
yeah.
not right.
That's kind of like that's a lame excuse if you ask me. It's just that doesn't really, yeah, it doesn't check out. It doesn't check out.
No,
Yeah.
that's like just real. That's a very obvious excuse. But I mean, look, I for what the general structure of what the movie itself actually is, I think I actually was on board with it. And I did like what they were trying to do, the story they were trying to tell. The execution of it was just really sad and poor. And they sold us a bag of goods, and unfortunately, it just didn't live up to it. I've talked for a long time this movie should have never come out. In some ways, I say that's still not the actual movie. That's something else, whatever this thing is, dude. But it's a real shame that this is what they decided to go with. Because if you ever get a chance to see Blue Beetle, like, look, man, Blue Beetle is way better with CGI, and that movie was just made like a year and a half ago at max.
Yeah.
Where this thing was worked on for at least 3 4 years at least when it actually started getting to be shot. And it should have been a moment where Michael Keaton should have been getting his flowers and getting his love for what he did for the character.
Yeah.
Like that end scene to me when Barry is like, we can bring you back, like we can save you. He says,
Yeah.
you already did bring me back. You already did save me. Like as like a fan, like that was like, oh, that's really sweet. Almost like he's saying to the fans, like, you did bring me back, like,
Yeah.
to have me come back and play this character. Um,
Uh-oh, you're low. I think I lost you again.
because
Sir.
do it.
Sir. I think I lost. There you go. You're back.
No.
I got audio,
I
no
know.
video,
I
sir.
don't know what's going on today, guys. We're having some really strange issues.
Zoom.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what this is.
It's all the
This is
internets,
very
man.
bizarre.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought originally it was Discord, but now it's Zoom too. What the heck? Let me see if I can
Yeah.
get my screen here. Hold on.
Oh.
It's wow. That's what I'm saying, right? It is incredibly bad. And I don't want to dunk on the guys, the FX guys. It's probably not their fault, but if you already have a character model already made for Justice League, why not use that one? From the Snyder cut, and they had to probably make their own one that looks like garbage. I'm being honest, man. It's like
Eh,
it's
It,
unacceptably bad.
it's
Yeah,
unacceptable, inexcusable in a
yeah.
modern age.
So
Y-
like
The amount of money they've lost on this
even
film.
Disney when they're rushing, right? Even Disney when they're rushing, they don't mess it up as bad
No,
as
no,
they
no,
do
no.
as they did here. It's something else. It's out of control, right?
Yeah.
And I don't. It's unfortunate, right? Because it takes focus away from the movie, and the movie is good. And and it, I don't want.
Yeah.
Uh,
Of the good things.
yeah, exactly. Because you see the Henry Cavill, and then the rest of the movie you're just thinking about the Henry Cavill CG because it burned your eyes. So yeah, man, I don't. Mm, rough. It honestly it's unfortunate that it was that bad. Because I enjoyed the movie. I think the movie was charming, well written. Ezra Miller for the most part was fine, right? And then everyone else was good. Again, Michael Keaton's great. The actress that played Supergirl's good. And
Yeah.
you can tell that Michael Shannon's phoning it in. You've seen the interviews. You can tell that
Oh yeah.
you can tell and even he's phoning it in, and he's still good, right?
Oh
But
yeah, it's fine. It's
but
fine.
but yeah, it's unfortunate, right? That it happened. So yeah, man. Joe, before we talk Ahsoka, let's take a quick break, see if we can iron out a couple of these technical issues, and we will be right back. Hello there. I think we should be fine for now. I cross my fingers. Thanks, Spectrum. Hey, you canceled Disney. You canceled us too. The heck? No, that was Disney's fault. So
Sorry.
speaking of it was Disney's fault. Ahsoka, uh, very good. Again, very good episode. You know what? I'm happy because they've been consistent, and every episode has been good. And every episode, like especially this episode now, there's questions. I was like, why again? Spoilers, guys. Come on, you get you should know by now. So, like, who? The question that everyone was asking, who's Marek? And I'm still asking, who's Marek? Right?
Yes.
Was he like Night Sister Smoke? Was he Palpy? You know how he moved into clone bodies, right?
Yes. Yes.
Who was he? Who was he? I know we're gonna get answers. I know we're gonna get answers.
Absolutely.
He's not just smoke. I mean,
No, no,
he'll.
I didn't buy that for a second. It's green smoke, so I mean, yeah, the Night Sisters can raise up from the dead certain different people, but it has to be someone specific to be using the force abilities and the fighting style that it was. This isn't just some random
It's small. Oh, Could be. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll find out. I know that we will find out. But this episode very good. I think the lightsaber fights were really really good, and I had a conversation with someone at work that said it's like, oh, they like kind of like spent too much time like posing and whatnot. It's like, dude, it's like this was like prequel lightsaber fights. Like that was very very intentional, and they were trying to evoke the prequels, and it looked good. Like visually was good. Everyone's good. And, yeah, man, it's a good. Okay, talk about the opposite of the Flash, right? Because we were just done talking about it, where you know everything was off, and this everything falls in place, man. Again, props to Dave and the team because they've done I, what they done. Here's why it's super special, right? Is because they were able to bring the animated world to life and actually make it like almost like a seamless transition because it does feel like, and we talked about it before. You mentioned it that this is through and through like season 5 of Rebels. Like it does feel
Yep.
like that, right? And wow, man, I'm gonna let you to it. You can talk about the ending, but there's many theories. We'll talk. Go ahead.
So much to love about this. And really it's just the return of just good lightsaber action in Star Wars. You know, people have been waiting. Like when we think of Star Wars, no offense to the gun wielding characters and the Mandalorian and these other things, love that. But there's something about this consistency of seeing characters fighting the way they did during the Jedi days that we saw in the prequels, right? And so seeing these characters not only fight with the lightsabers the way that they were, but also taking some of the stuff that we've seen in the animation form where like you probably remember this a bit, but there's a really I've referenced it probably before on the podcast, but there's a really amazing interview with Dave Filoni on the Star Wars show for specifically the Twin Sons episode, which is my personal favorite episode of Star Wars Rebels.
It's really good.
And it's because obviously my boy Kenobi's in it, right? But look, like that episode, when you hear why Kenobi goes into the position that he does and adjusts, right? He first goes into the pose that he did the first time that he fought Maul and he lost, and then you see him smirk, and then he changes position again to the over the head move that he wants to do to strike him down. And Dave said, "Look, these characters are fighting the way samurai do, which is they are like 7 moves ahead before it's even happened. In their mind, the fight's already begun." And so you actually see that in the way that Ahsoka and even Balin, the way their specific fight, which was so good,
Oh, so good.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Like the dialogue, the confrontation, Balin dude straight up believes that Ahsoka is a terrible person. Like this is not just like good guy, bad guy, but I mean, he literally says like the innocents that have died because of you. I mean, he straight up believes that she is the villain in this. And obviously Ahsoka is there to end Thrawn and to, well, make sure Thrawn doesn't come back and to potentially save Ezra. But like when you see them in those positions, they keep adjusting and moving. That's because in their minds they're already preparing the moves they're going to make. This is literally something Dave has spoken about before. I heard 30 even say that like the fighting style of Balin is because he has his lightsaber at the heaviest feature, which is why like his moves, one strike is very heavy, very
Yeah.
similar to like the way Vader would fight in his style. It's just very fascinating all around, just that. And Obed, Huyang having an action sequence
Yeah.
that was
That
unexpected.
was so
I
good.
loved it. I
Yeah.
think that would have been cool if he would have pulled out some lightsabers himself or something.
Go
Like that
go
would have
full
been
Grievous
crazy.
and
Full Grievous and started doing it. So, but I understand why they didn't. They probably didn't want to get people,
yeah.
start to just mentally check out. They want
Yeah,
to
but
keep it a
the
little
punches
bit,
and the blocking and all that, it was really good.
dude.
It was like
And then
you
he's
could.
like begging
It
for
was
help, and
it
he's
was
going,
very choreographed. The choreography for him was really well done.
yeah.
It was really well done. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, for people who are watching this and they have any issues with that, I don't know what they're talking about. The moment that Ahsoka went into the move over the head and the spell slipper. This is the same thing in Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah,
That's the same move that she does to take
yeah.
down this
The
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor. Yeah,
One strike dead. The same thing
yeah.
we see in Twin Sons with Kenobi. One
And,
strike dead.
and that's again to point out, right? The swinging the lightsaber around like a bat, like Ray, that has zero choreography. So you just swinging lightsaber
Yeah,
around like a baseball bat, and now you have this refined lightsaber techniques that we hoped to see again, but we didn't, right?
yeah.
And I mean, thankfully, we're seeing it again. But yeah, yeah.
And then Shin pulling a Ra's al Ghul and throwing the smoke to
Oh,
leave with
yeah.
Sabine, bro.
Ninja
I was
vanish.
watching and
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, this is a little Batman going on
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah,
Throws the smoke and disappears. I was like, okay, that's unexpected.
yeah,
Um, but obviously Sabine turning herself over, like that's obvious, guys. I mean, it wasn't just because yes, she wants to save Ezra. I think that's what some people might easily just be trapped to believe. But let's face it, the moment that she would have shot the ball, gone, her head would have been separated from her body. Like she
oh
would have
yeah,
died
yeah,
instantly. Like she would have killed, then they would have just done. So she had no choice but to do this either way. Now, I've been telling people that around me that have seen it, like it reminds me very much of Return of the Jedi, where Luke turns himself, well, not the exact same, but Luke turns himself over to Vader, right? And
yeah.
together he ended up turning Vader to take against Palpatine. I think that she is going to get into Balin's head, and together they're going to turn. I think Balin dies,
Mm.
but they're going to turn on, whether it be the Night Sister or just specifically Thrawn when Thrawn shows up. But also, now we jump to the very, very ending where you start talking about the world between worlds, and yeah, Ahsoka
And retconning the
died, right?
sequels.
The sequels, right? The whole theory, which we've
Yeah,
had that theory for a long time, being the
yeah,
way to reset things.
yeah.
Um, but who else would be the only person that's ever been to the world between worlds aside from Ahsoka? Ezra Bridger. Who is being on the way to get? Ezra Bridger. Like, makes too much sense because how is she's not gonna just walk in and walk out of this world. I think there's gonna be some connection there for sure. But yeah, that world between worlds open. I'm gonna let you talk because
Yeah.
there's a lot of theories around that.
So, I will basically she falls off a cliff during the fight with Balin, and then she wakes up in the world between worlds, and she hears Anakin's voice, and she turns around and she sees Anakin, or is it right? But there's something's not quite right. But
Yeah,
we right now let's go ahead and assume that this is Anakin's Force Ghost that's projecting himself into the world between worlds, and a lot of theories out there is like she's dead and she's gonna somehow come back, right? I don't think that's the case, right? I think what it is that planet that they're at, it's has a strong connection to the Force, kind of like again the Sith Temple and Lothal and all these other places that they've been to before, and somehow Anakin returned. Somehow Anakin returned and helped Ahsoka get in there before she perished. Now, what I'm really excited for the next episode, but what is she going to see? Is she going to see Luke's, like, I guess, downfall, or is she going to try and fix that? Is she going to try, because we know that, and it was established on Rebels, right? But they could change it, that you can't pick Kanan out of the moment he died, because that moment allowed them to survive, right? It allowed them to escape. So we may not get that. Maybe we'll get to see Kanan in some other place in time, right? But I'm just curious to see what they see for, like, forget about Rebels. Like, I want to see what they're going to see about Rey and about what happened to Luke and all that. That's what I'm more concerned about. Like, how are they going to reset this so they can rebuild? And that's what I'm more curious about. And again, knowing Palpatine and his, he's Palpatine is very powerful, and he can basically manifest in different ways through the Force, and maybe that's not Anakin, maybe it is Palpatine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So um, it's going to be very interesting, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited because it's good, right? They're not just not. It's yeah. And that's what gets me, right. It's like it's getting me excited about Star Wars again. And I told you, it's like they better nail it with Ahsoka, because that's probably gonna be my last, like, you know it's like, when they get a credit downgrade. So Star Wars was
Yep.
gonna be it
Yep.
was gonna be downgraded from my number
Hmm.
one spot after that, right? There was no coming back. But Science of Life, and I'm happy that it's good. I'm enjoying it very, very much. I'm hoping that it stays the same. Again, hype for the next episode is through the roof, but go ahead and share some of those theories, man.
I love everything you said. I hope that you're right when it comes to the sequel stuff of her seeing that and getting to it. Personally, I don't expect it. But I hope you're right. Because I only we've only seen one true example of the world between worlds, and I've watched that episode from Rebels probably 4 or 5 times at least. And if you there's many moments that you hear the voices of moments throughout all of Star Wars history in that episode. Stuff from Rogue One, stuff from the from the New Hope, stuff from the prequels, whatever, but the doors that the characters went to were moments that were somehow connected directly to them. And so I would have to imagine if there's anything we're going to see, it could be a recreation of a moment from Rebels or Clone Wars. It would not shock me to see Anakin and Ahsoka go back to a Clone Wars moment. I would love to see Anakin and Obi-Wan in their Clone Wars battle armor and, with her on some type of mission and battle. Unfortunately, it was leaked beforehand. There was a audio, in a commercial that had gone out where we heard Anakin's voice prior, and he says something along the lines of, "In this battle, you will face more than droids, and you have to be strong, Ahsoka. I know you can do this," or something like that. So I'm sure we're gonna get that moment in this next episode, whatever that was being teased, and I'm sure it was cut up to not reveal certain things. But as it pertains to her being dead or alive, that's a really tough one because I am at the place, I think because of being burned so many times with Star Wars and having huge, crazy expectations, and it's not even like a quarter of the percentage of the things that I think even happen. Usually it's like so low and it's sometimes very like discouraging. But like if you want to get real sweaty, like Ahsoka technically has died before. And I'm not talking about from what we saw in Rebels. I'm talking about Clone Wars. And for those of you that remember the Mortis episodes, you remember that Ahsoka technically gave her life, and the daughter of Mortis gave her life to bring
To bring
Ahsoka
Ahsoka back.
back, right? And
Yeah.
so that's when you get the whole owls thing with Ahsoka, because the owl almost like represents the spirit of the daughter of Mortis that follows around Ahsoka, right, throughout all her adventures. You even see it in the finale of the last episode of Clone Wars when she looks up and she sees it flying around, and we see the owl with her when she's in the world between worlds. Now, that being one of the highest level of Force users, very limited knowledge as we know around the father, son, and daughter, you would have to guess that maybe she is now an immortal person herself because of this. That's just a theory, right? Why is Anakin there? Is it Anakin? I think you're onto something. There's some key details. One, he's wearing his outfit that we see from Revenge of the Sith, but two, he doesn't have the scar. He doesn't have the scar on his head. He does have
Yeah.
his robot hand, which if he was a Force ghost, he would be completely whole he wouldn't have a robot
So
hand, the same way we see in at the end of Return of the Jedi.
here's how I saw him, right? Because he doesn't look 100% Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
He looks more like an in between of like this is maybe a couple months
Clone Wars.
after Clone Wars, yeah.
Hmm?
So or after not Clone Wars, I'm sorry, Attack of the Clones, episode 2.
Okay. Okay.
So it's like an in between while it's she's seeing Anakin as as she saw him when they met the first time. So
Yeah.
he's not Revenge of the Sith Anakin yet, right? So he's like an in between. Um, uh, yeah, yeah. So and again, this could be like force projection. You see whoever version of like the uh force user you remember, I guess. It's
Which
all, yeah.
which takes again, like I don't want to get too sweaty because I don't know like what to expect. But you start talking about the daughter of Mortis, let's talk about the son of Mortis. And the son of Mortis obviously was obviously an enemy of hers and just in general in the Force. If there's an immortal person that could be there, could be him, and he's a shapeshifter. He can make himself look like anyone. It wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise
Yeah.
me. That's the character.
Yeah.
We also I heard other people point this out, so I had to go back, turn on my Disney Plus, crank up the volume, put the subtitles, try and see if I can make anything out. But in the first episode, when Ahsoka's in the Night Sister Temple and she's turning the different thing around to
Oh,
find
the
the
whispers, you
orb,
mean? Yeah.
right? The whispers we start hearing, and it's like echoes below. You hear it saying, "Is he the chosen one? Is he the chosen one?" Saying twice, and you can't make out if it's like in the Morris episode he says that, but also some people thought that could have been Sam Witwer when he says that in Rebels, right?
Mm.
With Anakin,
Oh,
or
yeah,
sorry,
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
Obi
With
Wan,
Maul, okay.
with
Yeah.
Maul, right? And so I don't know if you saw recently, Whitwer did say, "I am indeed in this, and I cannot say anything more than what my role is in this." So clearly, it's something significant for him not to be commenting on it. I wouldn't surprise me, though, but we're gonna jump through some moments that are very important in Clone Wars and live action. Like, don't be surprised that we
Yeah.
actually see live action Maul, we see live action, like we're saying, Obi-Wan and there. What if, Obed, we see the recreation of Revenge of the Sith? I'm gonna say it right now, the Mustafar fight. And what if we see what would have happened if Ahsoka would have been there?
Mm.
I'm just saying, man. I'm
Mm.
throwing it out from now.
What if we get something crazy like? Do you remember the video game? I still have it. The Revenge of the Sith video game for
That was good.
PS2. Do you remember
Yeah.
the alternate ending where Anakin actually wins and then he kills
Yes.
Palpatine and
Yes.
yeah, and becomes Emperor? Like what if, right? Like we're gonna like, dude, for what we know, the next episode could be a Star Wars what if like Marvel style episode, and
Wouldn't surprise me.
I would love that. I would love that. Right? It's like, what if Anakin would have done this? What if Ahsoka would have done this? And they, see what ripple effect it would have had on the present. So yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you agree with this. But the way I always interpreted with the World Between Worlds, when Ahsoka is pulled out in Rebels from that time before death, there still exists a reality where she did die because
Yeah.
she was supposed to die.
Yep.
We only see an alternate, almost like
It's
branching
a
off of
branching, yeah.
she's pulled off and now this new adventure happened. But at some point, she technically through the
Yeah.
time did actually
There's
die.
already
So
branching continuities. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So see, you agree with me on that. There's like
Yeah.
there's an alternate where there already are
What
alternates. We
if
just haven't seen them happen.
what it oh,
Please.
I'm gonna throw one. What if the original trilogy is that continuity?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then now we're having, a different gun, dude.
Wouldn't surprise me,
Dude.
dude.
Like cuz or yeah.
They're
yeah.
showing
I'm
this
back.
next episode.
I'm back. Star Wars
Next
is back.
episode is directed by Filoni. We knew it was going to be big because the episode 5 is directed by Dave. He only directed the first one. He directed this one. Those are the only two he's done. The World Between Worlds one's coming up is directed by him, and they have announced they are showing it in theaters.
Yeah.
Very select. I tried to get tickets. It's already gone out real fast for that. But they are showing it in theaters. It has to be big. They have never done this before. Obed, we know there's got to be some confidence around. This is a moment for the fan base for sure. I mean, they invited fans out to Disneyland and Disney World, their areas to see this
Yeah,
thing.
man.
There must be confidence around something very big that they have planned. And of all the characters to do it, Ahsoka saved franchises. Ahsoka does this. This could be
Yeah,
the
man.
one.
That could be, yeah. It could be the one. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited because it's good, and I'm happy, and it's Star Wars is back. You know,
Yeah,
I'm finally feeling love again for my number one favorite thing in the world. So, or when it comes to like entertainment and fiction and all that, it's like again, Star Wars my number one thing is my favorite thing, and you know, could we see so there was a theory out there. I can't remember exactly who I heard it from that was saying that it could be that there may be plucking or not necessarily plucking like characters during the world between worlds parts, but more of like bringing characters together and having their own like end game moment, like have Luke and Cal Kestis and everyone that's around, right? As in like a huge battle
yes,
and that's again that's
yes.
what we wanted to see. That's what we've always wanted to see. It's like all these
Imagine that
characters
this is the
back.
Dave movie.
Yeah,
Imagine that's the Dave movie where
yeah.
there's some type of big
Honestly,
moment and it's against Snoke or
Leia
something, or
and
whatever
yeah,
it's supposed to be, and they're all in there, dude, in a battle. The Mandalorians, young Luke, all of
yeah,
them fighting.
yeah, yeah, man. I don't want to get too excited. You know how
I
it
know,
is. You know how I
I
am.
know.
I don't get too excited, but it's pointing to some good stuff. So we'll wait and see. Joe, so I kind of talked about it jokingly when we came back online, but man, this thing with Charter and Disney, it's pretty bad. It's
Not
pretty
looking
bad.
good.
So basically, long story short, Charter Cable, which is Charter slash Spectrum, they were not able to reach an agreement with Disney, and none of the Disney channels are there. And now I'm not talking about the Disney Channel. I'm talking about ESPN, Nat Geo, FX. All the pet channels that are owned by Disney are no longer in Charter. Like again, Disney Channel, Freeform, Disney Junior, dude, which has been a pain, dude. Having a kid that loves Disney Junior still, and she's
Oh,
like, "What do you mean I can't watch Bluey?" It's out of control, right? So we've had to go to Disney Plus, which is what Disney wants you to do, right? To
yep,
watch their stuff. But when it comes to again, I think more importantly, we can get around it, right? If my daughter wants to watch Bluey, Bluey's on Disney Plus, she can watch Bluey there. Problem is when you come to when you have a property like ESPN that is pivotal for cable companies to have on their lineup, right? And not only pivotal, like again, and I've talked about. I want to cover myself first, but it's like I've said it on the podcast before. I really don't understand college football and the obsession with college sports in general. But college football is back, and those games you can't watch them because they're going to be on ESPN. So it's a big deal problem that I think both of them have. Disney sending people to Hulu and Disney Plus, um, and Charter's just like, yeah, is these guys are not being flexible, and they just can't ignore the changes that that we're going through. So, uh, pretty bad on both sides. If you ask me, I think that Disney right now is in a lose position. They can't really prolong this too much. because these cable companies are just going to give up on them. And I think that they still need some presence, not entirely, right? But some presence still needs to be available on cable. Um, when you have places like businesses that have like TVs, right? If you're in a waiting room somewhere and you have a TV, you have ESPN on, that sort of thing. That there's still a business behind it, right? And um, Disney's in a position where they cannot afford anymore else, and they need to be able to get this, basically up and running again. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, Disney. I think Disney holds all the cards in this situation, which is why it's playing out the way it is. Because at the end of the day, when Charter makes a statement in here saying that they they are, saying either they either are getting out of the bundle business or just reevaluating streaming as a whole. And like, let's face it, like there, as you said, yes, there is absolutely value behind still having the cable television space. But at the end of the day, I would argue that probably if it's not for sports, live television would be a very different place. I think it would go down even more drastic.
And
It's almost like a
we've heard
test
this,
run for it.
and we've heard the stats, like it's
Yeah.
gone down 50% in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's substantial. So
It's huge. Cable cutting is not like if we had this conversation, a few years ago, it would have been cable cutting would have been like it's still a thing, but not hugely popular. But now it's in the majority of people that are not sticking to the cable sense. So yeah, I think that Disney at the end of the day, they they hold the cards because you can still have Disney Plus, you can still have Hulu Plus, you can still have ESPN Plus. In fact, they sell a bundle where you can put all three of them together, right? And
yeah,
when it comes to cable, a lot of times it is all bundled. You have to pay for this and you get all these other channels together. Where now with the streaming setup, you can pick and choose what you want. You just want Disney Plus, maybe just more into the Hulu space, maybe you're
yeah,
just into sports, you want ESPN. So uh, I personally don't think this is going to last very long. I think that most likely next week you're going to hear a solution, but I think Charter is going to be the one that's just going to have to just bend the knee here and just take whatever they can
yeah.
because their business is not doing probably that great in
No,
the meantime. And what people are going to say is, oh, Charter doesn't have my show. I'm going to DirecTV.
which reminds me, I need to call Spectrum because we pay extra for Disney Junior and
Yep.
the other Disney add-ons,
The
and
bundle.
we're not getting it. So I gotta give him a call. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, dude.
Gotta get that discount. But yeah, but at the same time, I heard that I haven't checked this for myself, but I heard that if you go to their website, there's an offer, like a downgrade offer, where you keep the internet, and they give you a YouTube TV bundle instead
Wow.
of just offering cable. Like, and the days of cable are numbered, and
Hmm.
it's something that I've been trying. My wife watches still cable. Um,
Yeah. There's people out
and
there.
I've been telling her for a while now. It's like, listen, like we're getting to the point where this thing's gonna go away, but she's riding the wave, right? But I let her be. Um, but yeah, like you said, like my 2 year offer with Spectrum ends. I think soon, like in a couple of months.
Wow.
And I think I'm gonna go back to AT&T, right, and get the DirecTV stream that I had before, which was great, and their fiber, which was much better. To like, we had zero connectivity issues when I had fiber.
Very true.
Only problem I had is, like, for some reason I kept overloading, or my I have a separate gigabit switch here in this room, and for some reason that was overloading the router. But I think I figured out what it
You
was.
realize ever since we started talking about Spectrum, suddenly our issues went
No,
away?
right, yeah. We said they were gonna cut us like Disney, and look at that.
Say their name
Look
and
at that.
suddenly
Yeah, they know.
it works.
They know. They watching. Sponsor
We'll be
us.
smart. You want to sponsor? Send an email to
Sponsor us.
noloadtime@gmail.com. This is the segment brought to you by
Sponsor.
Spectrum.
We would be advocates for cable TV. So,
Yep.
but yeah, man, we'll see where this ends up. Quick bit of news. I mean, I guess is a two for one here on this one, but the there was an interview with Iji Anuma, and they Anuma mentioned that there are no plans to release DLC for Tears of the Kingdom. Um, I think that's fine. This game is gigantic as it is, right?
Okay.
Not every game needs to have add-ons, in my opinion, right?
Mm.
I think the
The first
add-on
one did though, right?
Breath of the Wild had, yes.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that add-on brought a couple of really cool things, and it was worth it in my opinion. But Breath of the Wild gives you so much freedom from the beginning, right? And what you couldn't build, what you couldn't. Let me rephrase this. So there's only a couple things from Breath of the Wild that are missing in Tears of the Kingdom, and I think Tears of the Kingdom, because of the building mechanics and the other mechanics in the game, they give you more freedom compared to what Breath of the Wild did. So there's that, and it's just a bigger. I mean, it's basically almost three times the size when you look at it. So I still see people saying that Tears of the Kingdom is basically DLC for Breath of the Wild. No, not really. I mean, it's mechanically and substantially different, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the Hyrule Overworld map is essentially the same, but there's a lot of rediscovering
Mm.
that's done in the game. So, and again, just the mechanics, it just changes so much, but it's interesting in that they're basically saying that they are going in and working on the new game, and that they think that there's going to be a completely new experience and it's going to be different from the Switch games. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But I guess as a segue on this one, and I didn't want to talk about it before because this wasn't like there was a rumor that was floating around on Reddit, and I you know I treated it as a rumor, but now uh, basically all major outlets are reporting this,
Mm.
that there was a closed doors demo at Gamescom for the successor of the Switch, whatever it's called, and allegedly this thing is PS5 like graphics.
Wow, that's huge.
So the rumor is that they or the report, right, is that they showed a souped up version of Breath of the Wild running on the device, and souped up to what extent we don't know, but some people are saying that it was running at 4K 60 with ray tracing.
Whoa.
So if that's the case, Joe, I'm not gonna buy at a portal and I'm gonna save me some dollars and just start saving up for this thing when it comes out, if you ask me.
Whoa.
So yeah, dude. I mean, what do you think? Is that an upgrade enough for you, sir, to make you buy a new
Dude,
Nintendo product?
that would if I was PlayStation, if I was Sony, I'd be shaking if that's the truth. Because that changes everything if it's like that. Now, that let's be real a little bit. If that is the case, you're gonna be walking around with a brick for that thing.
You're gonna
That's gonna be a handheld brick that you're gonna be walking around with to play. Not that we played handheld, but I'm
do
just
you
saying there ain't no way
okay?
that thing's gonna be like it was.
I'm gonna sound like an old man right now, but back in so back in the '90s, right, when AR was being proposed and tested, um, there was a company that was selling an AR uh, headset for the military. And this is again back in the 90s. And you basically had a battery. The battery for the device was in a backpack. So you have to carry the battery. The backpack was the battery for the device that you had on your head, which was the backpack had a computer and a battery in it, right?
It's
So
like Mr.
you're
Freeze over
you're
here.
carrying around a battery,
Oh
Mister
my god.
Freeze. So again, I don't think this thing's gonna be like. If you ask me, this is probably gonna be a Series S type of device. Like it's probably not gonna get the
And that's
full.
great.
Yeah, that's excellent. So it's probably not gonna get to like PS5 and Series X levels,
But if it
but it's there.
is,
But if it is,
dude, that is a game changer.
yeah, man,
Oh my god. That
yeah,
they better make that thing like a huge screen, like a tablet looking,
like an
like a
iPad,
laptop, bro, like an iPad,
like a
bro.
like an iPad Pro, like the
Seriously,
12 inch
yes.
or whatever, the
It
big one.
has to be like an iPad Pro. Seriously, dude. For
Now, I
it to
mean,
run like that, it has to
but
be.
then you got you start getting into battery life issues and whatnot. But again, like an iPad Pro gives you
That's what
like the
I'm saying.
battery life
They've done it.
is legit, right? So I don't know. But then you get into
This
like
could change everything.
heat dissipation and all this stuff. Like there's a lot of you got to think about
You
like
know, you know.
the engineering behind it, right? Again, if Apple can cram an M2 chip on a laptop without a fan,
Yep.
you know, who knows, right? Um, so they're saying that again, Nvidia is gonna be handling the chip like on the Switch,
Good.
which again makes us think that this thing is gonna be backwards compatible because it's probably just
Yep.
gonna be the same type of family of chips. So yeah, man, it looks like it's gonna be interesting. So um I'm curious on price, right? If again the Switch is still doing really good.
Dude, that
Um,
this could be $500.
it could be, yeah,
I wouldn't surprise me.
yep. This could be like Steam Deck territory, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I think right that they should give people the option of of offering this as a standalone box that you plug into the TV and a handheld version that you can take with you.
The versatile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you can dock like the Steam Deck, right? So um that way you can at least sell it for 400 bucks,
Mm-hmm.
300 bucks for the home, right? But if you want to take it on the go, you have to pay 500. So it's steep, but I would pay 400 right now. Based on this on the rumors and specs and whatnot, right? If I can run Tears of the Kingdom at 4K and put another
Oh,
100
that
hours on
changes.
at 4K 60 with ray tracing, right?
But with a pro controller, with that type of specs, dude, that replaces a lot of people's primary.
Yeah.
Like that can run a lot.
And this makes like if you go back to some of the rumors that we talked about the next Mario game that's supposed to be being built on Unreal Engine, this it would make sense.
It would make sense.
Yeah. We've seen some Unreal stuff on Switch, like Dragon Ball Fighters and what's the other one? The other one that Arxis did. Oh, dang it, the tag team one that I forgot. Cross tag battle. Yeah, Blaze Blue Cross tag battle. Yeah, there we go. So we've seen some games built on Unreal, and it kind of works on the Switch, but like if it's fully like I guess fully a full fleshed Unreal Engine game coming to the Switch, um, and if it's a Mario game, dude. Again, could you imagine a Mario game with like the movie graphics, like realistic type of Mario, like take it to the next level, right? That would be incredible. So yeah, we'll wait and see. I already ate the shrimp, so it's a matter of just waiting it out.
Oh, poor Obed.
So
Well, you got pineapple on pizza if the Apple deal doesn't happen with Disney.
hey, that's probably gonna,
2024, we'll
that's
find out.
that's probably gonna happen. I saw another article yesterday about it.
That's the rumors. Everyone
Yeah,
keeps talking
I
about it.
kept saying it.
My
Well,
thing is though, is this buy the rumor, sell the news, or is this sell the news, buy the rumor?
true, true. We'll find out. We'll find it out in probably about a month.
I know.
When the fiscal year ends at Disney, that's I think when again I predicted it. That's I think when Kathleen Kennedy is gonna get out.
Yeah.
Be out, and major and announcements are gonna be made. So
Speaking of Kathleen Kennedy, Obed, we were talking about Ahsoka, right?
okay, okay,
Remember I told you earlier when I saw you that I said I heard something about there being a Masters and Apprentice featurette or something coming out. So if you go on Disney Plus when you get a chance, there's like an 8-minute featurette, and it's right at the front of Disney Plus, and it is called Masters and Apprentice, right?
okay.
It's like it's literally a documentary. You could tell it's to catch people up who have not watched Rebels and Clone Wars, but dude, there's one like Kathleen's like barely in it at all, dude. She has like two moments where she says like two sentences, and that's it. Everything else is just Dave, right? Um, the second part that she's in, she said something, and I almost like spat out, dude, my water. She said something, and don't quote me exactly, but it was basically on the lines of, "What's great about Star Wars is you can jump in and watch it and have never seen anything before." And I was like, what is she talking about? You just slapped in the face all the people who've watched Rebels, Clone Wars, all the great history of these things, and you're
Oh,
saying that you can just watch this as a standalone, and that's what makes Star Wars great, is that people can just watch this on their own. What are you talking about? This is comes back to the same conversation about her, basically disrespecting the books, the comments that she's made about the legend
there's no
stuff.
books, so we can't do anything.
Dude, it was so frustrating. I could not. I was like, she didn't just
Hmm,
say that. I couldn't believe it.
that's weird. That's a weird
It,
thing to say, though.
it was
Yeah,
very weird.
that's
Like I
like
was like,
that's
does she
like
even know
saying
what
the
she's talking
good
about?
thing about Dragon Ball is that you can watch the Tournament of Power and not not get any context for anything else prior to that, and yeah, have a good time.
Which it would have been different if she would have said something like, it's so good that you maybe have seen nothing else before, but you'll appreciate this and it'll make you want to go back and watch the other content. That's a totally different conversation, right?
Yeah,
And I believe that. I think there's many people who are watching this and are going, man, Ahsoka's awesome. I need to go watch Rebels. I need to
yeah,
go watch Clone Wars.
yep,
That's fair. That's fair game.
yep.
But to say you don't need to see any of that stuff, this is what makes it so great is you don't need any of that to watch this. Are you crazy?
Mm, that's not a good thing to say. I
I
agree. I agree.
I gotta watch what I gotta say on this show, but I was shook it. I mean, this is, she's gonna be joining Bob Paycheck, talking about how she's pet a hippo once and it was years of hell at
to
Disney.
to feel more human or whatever.
I can't believe it. Pet a baby hippo. Can you picture that man comforting himself petting a baby hippo? I'm sorry. Lex Luthor, what are you doing? What? I
Oh
can't with these people,
no,
man. I can't do it. I can't
no.
do it with these. What the heck are you?
Wow.
And here's the thing, he's got an NDA, so it clearly didn't come from him. It came from him, but through his spokespeople. But whew, either your spokespeople is just as Looney Tune, or man, there's something in the
Looney Tune.
water. I don't know what.
Oh, Looney Tune. That's
Him and
great.
Kathleen Kennedy can go have a great siesta. This is not the one.
Can you imagine? Could you could you imagine like Kennedy gets let go and then her and Bob make like start a company or something, a production company.
Oh, oh my gosh. I actually, you want to talk about candidates for the Razzie Awards? They'd be first up if that is what
Oh
happened.
man, again, yeah, I respect Bob for his career, right? Undoubtedly,
His career before 2020.
before CEO. No, no, no. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Yeah. But I think Bob's career before he was CEO, up until he got to Parks, I think Bob did a great job. Once he got to Parks and started nickel and diming people. That's when all the problems started.
He was good with products,
Yeah,
right? He
he
was
was good
good
with
with
product. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
DVD thing and the
yeah.
vaults and
And
all
then
this.
consumer products, excellent, excellent, right? But then with great power comes great responsibility, and he fortunately did not show
And
the
I don't know what's
responsibility.
going on with Iger recently, man.
Bob's super
Iger,
depressed.
I don't know what's going. I mean,
I
that
talked
was
to him the other day, and he said that he was really depressed, and
you and Bob, Bob and
yeah,
Bob.
but yeah.
Um, I mean,
So
what that whole like strike thing conversation that he had, sitting in
it's
like the
just very strange.
premium valley like vineyard or something, talking about how like
It was like a
you know
retreat. Yeah,
what was
it
that?
was very strange. Yeah, I don't. It's not the same.
What was the PR team thinking for this?
The what?
The Disney PR team, what's going on over there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Didn't
They
they
need
fire
to
everyone?
they
I don't know. I don't know. It's it's very strange. Like it's not the same Bob. It's not the same Bob. I know he's in a tough spot. And again, I respect his career as well. Because uh, there's
yes,
a lot to be respected,
yes.
right?
Aside from
And then
choosing a successor.
no, totally, totally. He dropped the ball with that one, yeah. And then again, when it comes to Kennedy, dude, it's like, bro, like you gave us all this amazing movies, back in the
But
day, right?
but did she?
But what happened?
Because I'm starting to question
I
it
don't
now.
know, Joel. I mean, I heard story.
It's
Like I've watched enough DVD
yeah.
supplemental materials
Okay.
to know that I was like, oh, and this thing, like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, because you were talking about it the other day, like it was her idea to use CG for the
Hmm.
dinosaurs, like because they like Spielberg wanted to go all practical, and then the
Wow.
guys that made the CG showed her it's like, hey, we came up with this thing, and and she was like, can you make it better? And yeah, they made it better, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna go show Steve, and that's how, yeah, like
Okay.
undoubtedly,
Okay.
dude, like she knows what's up.
Okay.
Up until she took over Star Wars, the same thing would happen with Bob,
Hmm.
right? It's like up until that point, I don't know what happened, but we'll again we'll come back to it when the time comes, and I know that we'll talk about the Apple acquisition at some point, but it's what we got, sir. If you want to go ahead and wrap it up.
Absolutely. Wow, it's always a great time with you, Obed, and everybody here. Thank you so much for joining us. We invite you to stay connected, stay subscribed. So subscribe to No Load Time on the podcast platform of your choice, Spotify, Amazon Music, SoundCloud. Find us, subscribe, write a review. That really helps us out. We also invite you to subscribe to the No Load Time YouTube channel. We're continue to grow on there. We're really thankful for everyone that's been supporting us there. Continue to subscribe and share the videos with your friends and family. Additionally, you can follow us at No Load Time. That's at No Load Time on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X. Find us, follow us. We'd appreciate it. You also can follow us at No Load Time rather all together on Twitch. We broadcast live our episodes there. Apologies for all the technical issues. We'll continue to work through it.
Thanks, Charter.
Carter. Um, And last but not least, if you have a question, comment, feedback, or charter, if you want to sponsor it, so you can send an email to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. And maybe, just maybe, we'll even discuss what you said on a future episode. But thank you all so much. We look forward to being with you next time.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe. We'll see you again next time.